Hello, welcome to the Trews. I'm the host of the Trews, Russell Brand. Trews is true news. Subscribe here to get Trews directly unpeeling across the layers of your mind. There was an election yesterday in America. That's a thing that's called democracy. Which one won? The red one or the blue one? How are these different colours funded? And what does it mean to us, ordinary voters and people?
You're watching live coverage of election night.
It's election night in America. Voters are choosing the 114th Congress.
It's a lot of pageantry, isn't there, and sort of ceremony. This is the 114th Congress. We've done this 113 times before. Does it have any meaning? Oh no.
The highest stakes were in the battle for America's upper house of Congress, the US Senate. As the results came in, it was clear this wasn't a good night for Barack Obama's Democratic Party.
Of the two parties yesterday, the Republicans spent the most money. And here's an interesting fact for you. In American presidential elections, every single American election in history has been won by the party that spent most money on its campaign. Every single time. So whoever it was, whether you got Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or George Bush or Ronnie Reagan, whichever one you got the one that spent the most money on their campaign. Doesn't that suggest that they could just go, right, I've got more money than him at the beginning of the campaign, and just go, all right, you're president then. Spend this money on hospitals.
I'm not Barack Obama.
No, you're a mysterious, attractive markswoman.
I disagree with him.
With a price tag of almost $4 billion, this was the most expensive midterm election ever.
$4 billion on adverts just going, vote for this one. All those things of like that woman, I'm not Barack Obama. As you can see, I'm a white lady with a gun. That'll be $4 billion. What you could have done with $4 billion, it's 10 times more than the government has committed to fighting Ebola, just to have the gun woman in yellow Bono glasses. Education, you could, with $4 billion, you could pay for 24,000 students' entire education. Or you could have Bono lady in her glasses.
The state elected its first Republican senator in more than half a century.
It's time to turn this country around.
I don't like their attitude much, do you? We've done it right. It's time to turn this country around. Oh yeah, what are you planning? How are you going to address real issues affecting ordinary people? In no way at all.
Republican Mitch McConnell held on to his seat. As the top Republican in the Senate, he'll remain a thorn in President Obama's side.
What's significant, I think, is that both parties are backed by comparable organisations. Much of the campaign money comes from groups that don't disclose their donors. Why? Why don't they disclose their donors? Oh, well, that's because if you knew who their donors were, it would make you completely lose faith in the entire electoral process. Why are they spending $4 billion? Who's investing all of this money? Do you think the private companies that spend all this money supporting political parties are doing it from kindness? This is philanthropy. We enjoy supporting political parties. They're doing it because their interests get represented.
Tonight they said we can have real change in Washington, real change. Tonight Kentuckians said we can do better.
Only a little bit, though.
12 years ago, the people of Arkansas gave me the greatest privilege of my life to represent them in the United States Senate. Those years were filled with some hardships and some difficult decisions. 2 wars, the most severe economic downturn in my lifetime, and an exploding national debt.
It's a strange process, this oscillation between vague left and vague right, that doesn't provide any genuine means to address those kind of issues, unpopular wars or alternative means of tackling debt.
When we look at the candidates who are out there tonight, I mean, we saw that ultimately Greg Orman, the independent, was not successful in Kansas, but he did put up a good fight. You know, we're seeing a pizza guy in North Carolina getting 4% of the vote. Does this tell you anything about the possibility for a third-party candidate? I mean, are these just one-offs, or could there be room for that going into 2016?
It's difficult for a third-party candidate to emerge, or any alternative to emerge, because the system itself is so structurally dependent on this kind of corruption.
The difficulty is, for an independent candidate, there isn't that much infrastructure. to support you.
Recent news in the New York Times that emerged due to a coding error revealed that some of the Republican Party's top donors are the most abusive corporations on the planet. ExxonMobil, Koch Industries, Pfizer and Coca-Cola. Establishing limits on campaign contributions is famously ineffective because there's so many ways to get around the law. It's amazing, isn't it? They're just, we've found a way to get around that. That the electoral system is entrenchantly set up to support corporations and existing private interests and political interests. It's sort of impossible to get represented. We've tried limiting contributions. There's nothing we could do.
Voters have been oscillating between the two parties, and what you're seeing is voters are saying, I'm dissatisfied, I don't like the way government is working, I don't like the way the economy is going, let's try something else. And they're trying something else every 2 years, and this year they're trying Republicans.
It says here, according to a CNN poll, 8 in 10 Americans disapprove of how Congress has been handling its job, while 6 in 10 are displeased with President Obama. 44% have a positive view of Democrats, 40% have a positive view of Republicans. Americans in these midterms have just elected the party they least like to run the government body they least trust. That is democracy. We'll have the party that we least like to run this body that we least trust. I'm sorry, that's the best we can do. Bloody awful is the absolute best we can do. This is why people are talking about revolution. This is why people are talking about the need for significant change, because all revolution means is, change isn't going to come from inside this structure, is it? This structure works in this way. So the only change is going to come from outside of the structure, Another word for that is revolution. If you want significant change in America or in England or anywhere, then you have to take direct control of your own lives, get involved in local campaigns through creative direct action, learn more about groups like Occupy, learn more about groups like Anonymous, UK Uncut, things that I've never even heard of. The important thing is that we get involved ourselves, because as long as we're apathetic, as long as we're disengaged, these people run rampant. And whilst initially low voter turnout helps the special interests of big corporations, in the end a massive voter turnout wouldn't make a difference unless we've got something to vote for, and we won't get something to vote for unless we're directly engaged. That is the Trews. Get involved, this is the Trews.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the nose. If the nose was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.